All right, and we're live today for a second sneak peek of the API Days Paris event coming up next week. Super excited to welcome Mehdi again today. Mehdi is the founder of API Days and here to give us all the juicy bits for the conference ahead of the big days. Mehdi, welcome.
Hi, Regis. Hi, everyone. Glad to be here to tell you a little bit about the program we've prepared and also to answer your question about what we like to see and maybe what's the best path for you to enjoy the conference and meet the people you're expected to meet and learn about the stories you want to learn.
Fantastic. All right, let's take a few steps back. Some of our viewers may not be familiar with API Days. So Mehdi, can you tell us a bit more as the founder of API Days, what this is all about, and give us a quick sneak peek of that?
Yeah, of course. In few words, API Days is the main series of conferences on APIs, on the business side and the technical side of APIs. We started in 2012, and then we expanded into 10 different countries every year. And so in next week, we will be for our main yearly event in Paris, gathering 3,000 attendees. And all the best API people of the industry will be there. So yeah, it will be the great way to connect with all the great minds and great technical leaders of the industry.
Brilliant. So Paris is one of a few, it seems, but it's the biggest one, right? That was the original. Is the Big Bertha. That's where thousands and thousands of people show up. So let's run through. This big conference is 3 days. What happens in all the days? Give us a quick breakdown of that event.
Yes, for sure. So if you can add the screen on stage. Again, for API Days, our main goal will be to connect the humans behind APIs for 3 days, gathering 3,000 attendees for mixing and mingling and talking about APIs and API programs. The program is composed of 3 days, 3 main days. So December 6th will be the day one. It will be really about everything that will be directly useful and applicable after the event. So workshops, hands-on workshops or customer stories, demos, certification, masterclass, everything that you will find these days will be actually actionable after the event. Yeah, mostly everything about learning new skills or whatever will be ready for that day. The main content day will be day 2, where we have the keynotes with the main theme will be APIs and AI, and actually how AI are completely changing the way we design, build, create, publish, version, promote APIs on security management, on architecture, and all related topics. And we'll also have some business tracks like API-driven transformation, API governance, API management. All of this will be during this day 2. Day 3 will be a talk with more, let's say, side topics of APIs, but important topics. But like we will host some friendly conferences about GraphQL, about async API, about API security. We will have an exec track called API for CIOs. And we also have 2 other tracks about green IT and sustainability of software, and also telecom APIs with a new standard that are opening on the telco world. So day 1, everything about demo, tooling, workshops, useful, directly applicable information and tools. Day 2, the keynotes and everything about business and tech, about understanding where the industry is heading. Day 3, opening about related topics about the API economy, about GraphQL, async API, security, exec content, green IT, and telecom APIs.
And I hear there's even a track in French on day 3, right?
Yeah, on day 3, the exec track will be in French. That will be the only track in French during the event, but some French execs, as the event is happening in France, prefer content in French. So we decided to allow just this one, but everything else will be in English as the unique interface and the unique language API for the whole community.
Yeah, fair enough. And that was a note to all the viewers that the conference is in English. All conferences are in English. So is this little webinar, even though it happens in Paris, but we snuck a little French track in there on day 3 to keep everybody happy. But we've got people from all over Europe coming to API Days Paris. By the way, for all people joining us today, if you have any questions live for Mehdi, put them into the Q&A section. We'll tackle them at the end once we review the agenda. Now, Mehdi, there are some hot topics this year in API. Every year in API, there seems to be a hot topic. You're tackling quite a few of those through the conferences this year. Paris is the big fireworks finale of 2023. But you also have big guests coming up. Can you tell us about
that? Yeah. Let's say especially the keynotes. So I'm going just on the December 7th, day 2. On the keynotes, we'll have talks from Mark Boyd, which is a famous analyst in the API industry, who will talk about the API landscape under the AI era. So really, I don't know if you're familiar with the landscape here, but the landscape is really the 1,500 companies of the API industry that you should care. And actually, Mark will be explaining exactly how APIs are, or how AI is impacting, let's say, the way API tooling or API stack is actually being built. Also, we will have a fireside chat with chess world champion coach Laurent Fressinet. He's the coach of Magnus Carlsen, the chess world champion, 5-time chess world champion. And we will talk about like how today AI has been completely disrupting chess and how humans have let's say, continued to learn better than the previous AI era, and maybe how actually AI enabled chess to be better, to be more visible, and to be more democratized to everyone. So, and what we can learn from that about other industries. We will have also guest speakers about Mark O'Neill from Gartner, who will talk about like the latest trends of an API management. All the Gartner knowledge will be gathered in his talk. We have a speaker from many industries like BPCE, like JP Morgan, like Accor, ST Microelectronics, Schneider Electric. Many large corporations will be presenting their APIs and API program at API Days. Also on the technical side, we will have people building the next generation of AI-driven API management tools or API consumption tools. We will have also the people maintaining the specs, maintaining the specs of the industry, Open API specification, async API specification, JSON schema, GraphQL. So we'll have all technical leaders involved in building the community and the tech community, who will be also speaker at the event. I can't hear you, Regis, you're on mute. Yeah. So Regis, I think trying read on your lips. I think you're talking about what we will have. Yeah, what we will have during the 3 days.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. So during the 3 days, if we dive a little bit into the program, so day 1, as I said, will be really the workshop day, the certification day, but we will have 2 specific tracks that I wanted you to see. The first 2 on the left is the Open API specification track, really about the Open API specification standard. We'll have talks from people building the standard, using the standard, and building tools using the standard. And we will also have, like you see in light blue, the Women API conference. So it will be a full day dedicated to help female engineers and female API managers to be seen and heard in the community. It will be open to everyone, but let's say it's really dedicated for more female to gather and structure themselves as a community inside API Days. A lot of workshops on many API topics, and 2 tracks: API developer tooling demos and API management tooling demo, which will be really about like the latest tools we decided we consider really representing the state of the innovation, who are cool, and that you may use immediately after the presentation. Last but not least, on the right, we will have 2 masterclasses on API design and API product management, delivered respectively by Mike Amundsen and Audrey Kolsky. So if you're interested to attend this masterclass, we'll give you a certification at the end. check your emails. You may have received the link to register to these masterclasses. On day 2, we have main tracks on APIs. As I said, after the keynotes, we have the business tracks like API for business, API management, and API governance. We have technical tracks like API architecture, AI, LLMs, and APIs, and API security. And we have 3 guest conferences that we host. We have the no-code and API conference, like how you can build better no-code applications thanks to internal APIs. So we have a conference dedicated to that we host. The API product conference, so for every product manager, product owner, API owner, if you want to learn from others about how to think your APIs as a product and to design them and build them as a product and monetize them as a product, this will be your track in conferences at API Days. And last but not least, on day 1, we have the API the Docs conference from our friends at Pronovix, who organize they do this conference since 2015, I think, and they gather all the technical writers, the documentation writers, and API developer portal designers, but how to make APIs the more expressive possible thanks to great docs, great tooling, and great developer portals. On day 3, December 8th, we also have guest conferences. I will start by these. First, we have a GraphQL Day conference that we host, who is supported by the GraphQL Foundation. So the top of the GraphQL technologies will be there to talk about GraphQL and what GraphQL is enabling when you build APIs. We'll have async API on tour conference. So everything about event-driven architecture, asynchronous APIs around the async API standards. So we will have the core contributor teams and core maintainer teams there, and with some speakers explaining what they do with async API. We have the APIsec University. It's a conference by an APIsec community, who is a API security community that we host with speakers from BNP Paribas, Société Générale, pen testers, red team, blue teams. Everything about API security will be there. Then we have 3 tracks which are classic API Days tracks, like API design and API docs, API testing and monitoring. And then we also have what we say the IT for business exec track, right? So that will be there. We have a Green IO conference, everything about Green IT from our friends Gaël Duez, who is also the creator of the Green IO podcast. And then we have a morning about open telecommunication and APIs, because there is a new standards in open telecommunications called GSMA Open Gateway that will completely change the way we build application on telco networks. And so we want to gather developers and architects to understand what does that mean to have one API for all telco networks in the world. So this is really what we can have for the 3 days. And yes, I don't know if you have any questions from people. I'm here to answer the questions, maybe give you some path. And then we can go to specific highlights.
All right.
Presentation is in English, yes?
From François.
Yeah, François Lannes. Hello, François. Yeah, presentation, except for the exec track, which is in French, presentation needs to be in English. So please slide plug talks to be in English, so no slide in French, like to make it available for everyone. Thank you, François, for your question.
All right, good. Well, Mehdi, thank you for reading my mind or lips on me being on mute, but you've had it the right way. I wanted to dive into how to structure your day if I'm walking into the door and I'm trying to get the most out of my conference. How do I understand this agenda that I can find on, of course, apidays.global on the website? Run us through it. How do I make the best out of the conference?
So again, first check the agenda. It's a self-service conference, so pick and choose what you want to see. There are business talks, technical talks. There are cultural talks like governance oriented. There are community gatherings like some API product conference or Green IT conference or Women API conference. So first, read the program and decide and build your own program. But what I can say is that I can highlight you some things that I consider, let's say, interesting or different than the main classic topics that you may be interested to take a look at. First, just to let you know that we will have the best of the sponsors of the API space, so there will be a huge exhibition floor. So if you're interested by new tooling or having product that works and that works in production when managing APIs. So first, don't hesitate to visit the exhibition floor. Take a look at what the vendors are doing, because they represent the state of the art of the community. So yeah, so that's the first thing. So again, you can pick a look there. On day one, really a few things I want to mention. The Open API specification track will be moderated by Eric Wilde, who is an OEI ambassador. Everything about the specs. The Women API conference, also interesting, and the workshops too, but really the 2 masterclass on API design by Mike Amundsen and by Audrey Kolsky are limited to 20 seats. It's really it gives a certification. It's a 1 hour 30 class with an exam, on-site exam that gives you a level 1 certification on these topics that you can promote internally or publicly, when about seeking jobs. So that can be extremely useful. So for day one, with the workshops, I really recommend to take a look in these 4 things if you're interested. On day 2, the keynotes, of course. I invite you to attend the keynotes, but after the keynotes, if you stay in the main room, we will have the talks from Mark O'Neill about latest trend on API management that I recommend to attend if you really want to understand what's going on in the space in 20 minutes. And also, you can check the program, but we will have API program presentations from large companies, and they will be there to explain how they're doing it. So we can learn a lot from them, and we really thank them to share their API story from DHL, JP Morgan, Volkswagen, Shiseido, Allianz Trade. Paris 2024 Olympic Games teams will be there. Again, so many things I recommend you if you want to really understand what others are doing and inspire your team. Last but not least, on the technical side, again, API architecture presentations from lead tech leaders and in retail or in utilities like Decathlon, La Centrale, Engie, Schneider Electric, or Allianz. Again, plus some technical leaders who are independent bloggers or tool builders or open source maintainers. So don't hesitate to attend to this conference and build your own program. On day 2, there is also the AI and LLM track, but I just wanted to give you some highlights. And on day 3, the GraphQL Day conference. So if you are a developer or if you work with a lot of developers and you want to accelerate the way you build application with APIs, the GraphQL Day conference can be really interesting for you to attend. And again, it will be the only GraphQL conference in Europe this year. So don't hesitate to go there if you are interested by that topic. The Green IO conference, to become a green hat, as we say, with talks from many European and French leading companies about digital sustainability and how you can reduce your carbon footprint with green IT, green ops principles, and how you can engage green hat communities in your companies. So yeah, extremely interesting with actually teams who will really share how they did it and with the results, right? The impact of what they did. So extremely interesting if you're interested by that topic. The APIsec University Conference with talk, as I said, from banks, red teams, blue teams about how to hack APIs or how to protect from APIs. And we have also specific guests. We have the female cybersecurity engineer of the year who will be presenting at the event. So who will talk about the overall state of API security. The Async API conference for everything event-driven architecture. Again, it will be the last time you will be able to meet them in Europe this year. So please join us if you're interested by this standard. And last but not least, for French speakers, but the IT for Business executive track with talks from TV channel Canal+, RATP Transport Group, Renault, or Banque Populaire Caisse d'Épargne, which is one of the French famous one of the largest European bank. So for the highlights, again, you can pick and choose in the program, but I just wanted to pick you some highlights that may interest you, and so you can compose your program the way you want.
Yeah, excellent. That's pretty thorough. Thanks for that. So just to summarize, there are conferences, plenty of them. You can pick and choose. It's a la carte. But there's also an exhibit space with all the sponsors where you can go and meet them, talk to them. And as you mentioned, Mehdi, there are, well, you didn't mention that, but I've seen somewhere that there are book signings by certain authors, so you can go and meet them.
Yeah, you will see there will be a huge API Days booth for everything that all the initiative we run as API Days, the company and the conference organizers. So book signings will be there. We will have information about the Digital Sustainable Challenge that we run. You will have infos about the trainings and masterclass certification that we run, and also the next conferences we run next year. So there will be a huge API Days booth. So yeah, where you will see a lot of information. And also just to mention here, but we will have one fun exhibition during the event. It's like Laurent Fressinet, Grand Chess Master, will play a simultaneous games against attendees. So we'll have like 12 chess games on day 2. We'll have 12 chess games all day where you will be able to play against him. And, he will just go from table to table to play. Right. And so if you love chess and if you love losing at chess against grandmasters, it would be a great moment to be there. It's a unique opportunity to play with the coach of the world champion, and who is also a chess champion. He has been in the top 15 players in the history. So
excellent. That sounds fun. And if you don't play chess, you can always bet on the players and see who wins. Good. We have a question from Alice. How do you sign up for these? Oh, say that again.
No, I say, or you can try to use AI to win, but
there you go. Be crafty. Mehdi, we have a question as to how we sign up for these courses, the certifications that are available that are limited in space.
So the question about how we sign up. So you may all the registered attendees will have received, it's only for registered attendees, but we'll have received an email from Leila, our masterclass team manager, about like these 2 masterclasses, about how you can sign up to these masterclasses. So check your API Days email from Leila at apidays.io, and you will be able to see, to check that email with the link for registration.
Okay, perfect. And I'll give it one more minute for any viewers to ask questions for the event next week. Otherwise, we're going to close it up for today for the second and final sneak peek of the event. Maybe final few words on this big conference. This is the last hurrah. This is the fireworks of 2023. It's been a great year, great increase in attendees. Of course, API are all over the place. It's a talk town. This is a place we have to go if we're in the API world. How would you convince anyone still on the fence to show up in Paris next week?
If you work in that space, you will learn everything that happens in the last 12 months and that will happen in the next 12 months in just 3 days. You will meet the people who are building this industry. You will get hidden information or secrets from the industry that people don't share on stage, but that we'll share in the networking discussions or in the corridors or between sessions. So if you want just like public information, again, you can stay online. But if you want to really be in advance on the industry, really understand what's going on, and really be a step before the competition or a step before the average engineer or the average business leader in that space, yes, API Days is here for that, to gather the community for one unique moment of intelligence, of technical intelligence and business intelligence, and also with great stories that other companies are doing. So again, if you want to win 1 year on your roadmap, API Days is here for that.
Excellent. Sounds like a fair deal. Mehdi, thanks for joining today. Thanks for giving us this sneak peek. And thanks everybody for hopping on for a few minutes on a busy Thursday for everybody. And we will see you hopefully next week in Paris.
See you in Paris. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, everybody.